All right, looks like we are live. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon if you're watching us on the East Coast, and good morning if you're watching us on the West Coast, and everybody everywhere else, just a plain hello. This is Neha Mahajan. I'm the Business Development and Outreach Manager at Chug LLP Attorneys and CPAs, and we are live right now, Thursday Live with Chug. We are live every Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, 11 o'clock Pacific Time. And today we're going to talk about the H1B Cap season. Yes, it is upon us. We're in January. It's going to happen sometime very, very soon, but we want you to be prepped about it. We want you to be aware, and we want to make sure that you know what to do, So are you ready? Is your team ready? Because if you're not, we are here to help you. Today we'll be discussing the overview of the whole H1B Cap registration process. Is it going to be online, or is it not going to be online? What to expect from the lottery? What kind of tips you should be keeping in your mind throughout the cap season, and what kind of trends are we anticipating? We'll be talking all about it today. And today we have attorney Ujjwala Bagal and immigration consultant Jagan Tamirisa. They'll be sharing their expertise with us today. And they're joining us from our Virginia offices. I know Ujjwala is sitting in Virginia, and Jagan is sitting in Virginia in spirit. He's vacationing or working from home, literally from India right now. Jagan and Ujjwala, welcome.
Thank you, Neha. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you, Neha. Welcome, everyone. Big hello
Jagan,
to all of you from
Jagan,
India.
it's quite late in India right now. I hope you're feeling awake.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a cup of coffee next to me, so let's get it.
Perfect, because next 30 minutes, it's going to be a real ride for everybody, who's joining us now, who are watching us. We are live. And if you have any questions related to immigration, we've got two amazing immigration experts sitting right here. If you have any questions related to employment-based immigration, just feel free to text in the comment section below or send it to us, info@chug.com. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let's just dive in. I would like to quickly go into some immigration-related news that has happened over the past couple weeks. Ujjwala, I think I will bounce it off you. Do you want to just share some news with us?
Yes, there's always the travel bans or like suspensions of flights that everybody's always interested in. So yeah, just beginning this week, the government of India did extend one of their suspensions that we were having for passenger flights coming in and out of India. Luckily, they have still not applied it to flights that come from under the bubble arrangement areas. So it's not like it's going to be fully no flights in and out, but there will be some that people will be able to get on and still travel. It's still going to be a pain just finding those flights, and it's always very difficult. I think there are a lot of people who are already talking about, oh, I had a connection and now they're saying this one is canceled, and they're like, oh, like, what do we do now? So it's going to be tough for the next couple of months, especially with the cases rising. It's going to be really a hard time for people when they're traveling.
Yeah, so what's the best way out? Just speak to the airlines?
There are airlines who already have like, okay, we are still flying, so it should be good if they try to connect to those, or maybe just their local travel agents who will be knowing more as to that are going in and out at the time, and just try to book their flights so they have those in hand. And
all right. So that's travel related news. I know something else also happened that has the green card backlog community kind of cheering up right now. Do you want to share that with me?
I think you're talking about the EB2 dates going up, and they've gone up for like almost a year now. They've gone up like for 12 months. So that's good news for those who are on EB2s. Jagan, would you want to add something to that?
Yep, sure, Ujjwala, thank you. So green card has always been in the news since October 2020, and everybody is, who's an intending immigrant is obviously seeking good news to, from both Department of State and USCIS, but more from Department of State, which controls the visa numbers every month, right? So this month, the February 2022, the good news is that the EB1 for India obviously remains current. Anybody who's especially going in as a EB1 manager or executive, obviously, you'll be able to file your I-485s concurrently with your I-140, so that's good. EB2, except for India and China, all the remaining countries, it remains current. But for India, the good news is it's progressed almost by 6 months. EB3, unfortunately, is a bit stagnant at this point of time, not much forward movement. So the EB2, the visa bulletin, has two charts. The final action dates and the date of filing. So the final action dates for EB2 has progressed till January 1, 2013. But the second table, the date of filing, the final action, the priority date actually moved till September 1, 2013. So there's a big gap, about 8 months. And the good news from USCIS is they have authorized the use of second table. So those who have their priority dates,
Amazing.
September 2013, 2013, yes. You will be able to file your 485s and look forward for your E80s and advanced paroles.
Yeah, and congratulations to everybody who will be getting greened pretty soon. Talking about our topic today, Jagan, and I think I'll just begin with you. H-1B Cap season. It's on every employer's mind. It's on every employee's mind, those who want to come to the US under the employment-based category. When does this H-1B Cap registration begin?
That's right, Neha. I mean, this is a big deal, since the last few years, especially when they changed the whole filing process. This year, the traditional the registration has in March, but we need to wait until USCIS actually puts a notice out because sometimes the dates can vary. So nobody needs to go into the system right now and register anybody, but do keep visiting the USCIS website where they're going to post the start date and the period for which it's going to last, which is usually 14 days. The dates have not been announced, but it's surely going to come up sometime in February 1st week or so. But don't wait until the dates in order to get your candidates lined up, your documents and all of those stuff. So it's going to be a very eventful time in March.
Yeah, can't believe, we're sitting in January talking about March, talk about pre-planning. Well, yes, we're talking about pre-planning. That's why we're here today. We'll also be talking about spring. Who wants winter anyway, especially those on the Northeast right now, right? So moving on, Ujjwala, he mentioned, Jagan mentioned about the whole H-1B season and a cap season, when to expect the registrations and the details. Sometime in first week of February, and maybe by March, we will really see that action happening. What are some of the documents that one may need, to submit for this whole process?
Like Jagan mentioned, they have made the process really much simpler than what it used to be before. So before, I remember everybody would be just rushing to get everything ready so they have it out by the date that's put out. So what they have done is right now you just go in and register your beneficiary. And you don't really need any documents at the time. So all you do is just put some basic personal information about the person that you want to sponsor. The personal information will be something like the date of birth, name of the person, what country they are from. One of the things that's important while you're registering is to let them know whether they are going to be counted under the bachelor's or the master's cap. So you do want to put their educational information in there, whether they have a bachelor's or a master's or a higher degree that they have at the time. Other than that, there's no requirements to plug in any documents, scan, or put them on the site. So it's only when they get chosen is when you would want to send in the supporting documents. So right now, as long as you have those documents, you have told your employees that we will need them. If you're selected, that's good enough.
Okay, wow. So USCIS has actually worked at modernizing the whole system, which is amazing. And it's made things so much simpler for employees and attorneys as well, right?
Which is true, yes. I think we're all happy.
Yeah. Now, Jagan, Ujjwala mentioned about the whole process and how seamless it has become. What about the fees? Everything comes down the dollar amount.
Yes, this is on the cheaper side of the business, actually. They're not going to collect hefty fees. It's only just going to be $10 per registrant. And if you have a bulk filings to do, then you can register all of them at one time. So you have to pay $10 per registrant. So you can do it each time if you want to. But if you want to make your life simple, then you collect all your registrants together, all their information, put it in the system, and then you just make one payment covering everybody. So it's only it still remains with $10, and they have not changed the fees so far, and we don't expect any surprises from now to March.
Okay, that's good to know. And I guess this whole change in the process really was implemented last year, if I'm not wrong. Was it last year?
It was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Not really last year, but about 2 years ago. So what used to be a traditional system is they used to bus all the paperwork to USCIS.
Yeah.
The caravan of FedEx, UPS that used to visit him in the morning, and everybody's frantically calling, say, hey, did my FedEx or UPS reach the USCIS and all? And each package used to be like bulky and all. And traditionally, they would receive it, attach a unique number, and then run the lottery, which would probably be sometime in May. So they would receive it on April 1, but they would not be able to run the lottery until May. So they felt that this is a very tedious process, a lot of wastage of paper, not to mention a lot of wastage of manpower doing all this kind of work. So they made it more simple that we'll just collect the simple information we need. You register how many people you want to register, and we'll run a lottery random online and let you know who all get selected, and you only send paperwork for those cases. So they just made
Thank God this has happened.
Yes.
Thank God this has happened.
Yes. Yeah, that's more from nightmare to a more, a more better system where we are able to enjoy the first day of spring.
Yeah. Now, Ujjwala, my question to you is, and this might sound actually wrong to ask of an attorney, but if I were to file and submit H1B Cap registrations, do I actually even need an attorney?
You know what I'm going to say to that, but yeah, let's go with this. Jagan said that the procedure, how they have made it so much easier. So it is true. If you go on just to register someone, it's pretty easy. I said you barely need any documents. It's just a few little things that you have to key in, and that's about it. But yeah, that's not the end goal, right? What we are thinking is at the end, we do want an approval for the petition that we are going to file. So just getting in the lottery is a small step. You do want to plan ahead. So I would say, yes, it's very advisable to have an attorney, because the reason is an attorney will be better able to help the employer vet out those people that they think may not fit the criteria that's required to allow them to work here. So just right from the beginning, you'll be looking at whether they have the right documents, whether all the paperwork is proper, and make sure that when you're entering them for the lottery, if they get picked up, they're surely going to be the end result that the employer wants. So I would strongly recommend hiring an attorney.
Yeah, so if you're thinking you don't need an attorney, well, you just heard Ujjwala's answer. You might actually need an attorney. It's always safer to, go with the subject matter expert, which in this case is an immigration attorney, and, take their advice on the whole situation and be ahead of the game, really. Because immigration processes are so complicated, and it really defines a person's life, because it's the visa that we're talking about, right? Here in the United States of America. I just want to reiterate, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And the discussion that we're having today is for informational purposes only. This discussion in no way is legal advice or does not, create an attorney-client relationship. If you have any questions for us, please, comment, text it in the comment section. And if you are watching us post live as a recorded version, then you can email it to us, info@chuk.com, and we'll be more than happy to, help you and guide you through. Now, you spoke about, Ujjwala, you spoke about needing an attorney, but from USCIS's perspective, right? And this is an entire lottery system, but is there a criteria for selection? Really, for example, can someone within who can afford to, I'm sorry, let me just rephrase this question. For someone who has been offered a salary of say 150,000 or above, right, annual salary, do they have a better chance at it than someone, with a lesser salary offer, or is the criteria same for everyone? Like it's a little complicated.
So the thing is, USCIS has not put out the criteria, like this is how we decide on how we select the applicant. So all that we know, it's a random selection process. When we file for the registration, nowhere do they require you to put a salary, like how much you're going to pay for the person who you are hiring. So when they say it's random, of course, salary is not something that they're looking at. We can just take that out right out. Over the years, we have seen that we don't know the logic or how they select, but even then, employers who participate, we do see most of them do get a few of their applications chosen. So how they do it, we do not know, but it's a random process. They may have some internal logic to how they select between the employers, but there's no criteria other than that whether if you have a higher salary. Now, last couple of years, DOL was trying to make wages a criteria. So if you paid higher wages, they were like, okay, you'll be chosen before the others. That has gone nowhere, so they just dropped it. So for this year, for sure, higher wages will not make a difference. Everybody will be treated the same.
Okay, that's good information. But there's this narrative. Every time you talk about immigration and especially employment-based visas, the H-1B, you always hear this narrative in mainstream America about cheap labor, H-1B being labeled as cheap labor. Clearly, that is not the case, because even though Department of Labor wasn't able to get the prevailing wages in, there is a criteria, which dictates, I'd appreciate your guidance on it, that dictates how much an H-1B is paid and whether the skill set are available in the US market or not.
Yes, that is true. Both of those are very important factors. When determining how much is paid, it should be at par with what is being paid around in the market at the time. So we do have to go ahead and make sure that the employer is ready to pay at least the minimum that's being paid out here to the other employees. So I don't think they can underpay anybody as such and get cheap labor. Jagan, you want to add on that?
Yeah, so Neha, that's a very good question. There's a lot of studies done by independent agencies in regards to the wages and non-immigrant labor versus citizen workers and other categories. And most of the time, the vision is favorable, saying that, there's really not that much discrimination. You may find maybe one or two cases that may not be on par with what the regulations want you to do, but and typically the enforcement is there already in place to point out that those deficiencies don't go well with us, and you need to correct your practices. But in general, the studies have shown that the wages are not really that depressed. They are very competitive with what is being offered to other citizens or other workers. And the primary criteria, even in USCIS selection process, like Ujjwala is saying, is not really listed out clearly. And that, I think, is for very obvious reasons, so that nobody's gaming the system. Obviously, the wages is not the factor, but everybody is given a fair chance. There are all kinds of businesses that are competing for the numbers. There's small businesses, then there are large businesses, mid-size, and everybody is competing for this number. So everybody is given a fair amount of numbers or fair amount of share in who all are registering for the cap number. And it's not a first in, first out basis, because the registration window is for 14 days. Whether you register on the first day, the 10th day, or the 14th day, there is no real advantage or disadvantage in doing it, because this lottery is done at a later date, not on the first day or the 14th day. So everybody's placed in the same situation. So the selection criteria is very questionable, and I don't think they will ever get answer out from USCIS on how they're going to do this.
Yeah, well, we have no ways to guess the internal workings of USCIS clearly, right? None of us have that insight, but there's always this confusion of, how many applicants apply for this lottery and how many are selected. There's always this question because I know USCIS comes up with some number at the end of the cycle, I guess, right? They announce that these many applications were received and all that. But what goes on really, Jagan?
So, the demand is the main factor that really drives how many applicants are actually ending up applying for or competing for a number. When the demand was really high, even in a paper-based system, the total number of applications that USCIS would get would be somewhere like 200,000. What we have seen last year is there were a total of 308 or roughly 309,000 applicants competing for the H-1Bs. There are 65,000 regular cap numbers, and then there's 20,000 master's or advanced degree exemption numbers. So there's a total of 85,000. And last year they got about 309,000 visa applicants competing for those 85,000. And that was the first part of the lottery, the main lottery that happened in March. But what USCIS doesn't really tell you is, out of the 309,000, there are people who could be repetitive, people who are registering from different employers. They could be registering from 10 different employers or 15 different employers. It's legal to do it as long as those employers are not related, they are not stopped from doing so. So we really don't know how many of them among the 309,000 are repeated numbers. And USCIS has not disclosed that data so far. So from that 309,000, USCIS selected somewhat around 87,500, which is roughly over 2,500 than the normal number. And they do so just so because if something happens in a registration that's later found to be defective, then a backup number is pulled in and replaces the defective registration. So they, by projections wise, they tend to actually pull more numbers. Not all people who got selected ended up filing a petition. And as a result of this, this year we have seen a second lottery and a third lottery. So during the second lottery, I think USCIS selected an additional 27,000 numbers, and Allah gave them a chance to file. And then when all the slots were not filled, they had a third lottery, third round, in which an additional 16,700 numbers were done. So all this suggests that, these numbers are not really, should not be thought of and hey, I don't stand a chance. Don't think about it that way, because there's a lot of duplications going on. A person can get selected from, let's say if he's filing from 20 different places, there's a chance he can get selected from 15 different employers, but he's not going to get his H-1B file from all 15 of them. He's going to pick and choose one and let go of the 14, which means those numbers get trickled on to the second lottery and so on. So these numbers really don't mean anything.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for explaining it so well. We are in the last 6 minutes of our discussion today. So if you have any questions for us, we have Jagan and Ujjwala from our Virginia office joining. They're discussing the whole, they're the experts here. We're discussing the whole H-1B Cap registration. So if you have any questions about that, or if you have any general questions related to your immigration situation, feel free to, send us those questions, info@chuk.com if you're watching us recorded. Now, Ujjwala, I want to ask you this. Jagan explained the whole process and on the whole numbers and all of that. But after a lottery, a person's lottery is picked, a person's H-1B is picked in lottery, when does that person actually get to start employment?
Okay, so usually the lottery, USCIS will inform around March that they have been picked, end of March that they have been picked up in the lottery. And then the employer is going to file sometime in April. So it takes about 3 to 4 months if you just do normal processing for the person to be approved for the visa. The start date actually is October 1st. So no matter, even if you were approved maybe in June, you still have to wait till October 1st because that's going to be the first day they can start working. So October 1st and onwards, anytime is when they can start working. One thing that the employer or whoever is filing needs to be aware of is that when they are picked for the lottery, USCIS will send them a notice saying that they have been picked. And there's going to be a date in there saying you need to file within this time. So they need to remember that it's the date when they need to file the petition and send it to the USCIS. It's not the time when they can start working within those dates that have been sent. So make sure that they don't start before October 1st is what it boils down to.
Okay, and what about the LCA? How soon can the LCA be filed? And should the employers wait for 10 days?
The LCA, once you get the notice that, yes, you are approved, you can go ahead and start the process. So you can go ahead, file the LCA. It will take about a week's time for the LCA to be approved, at which time you don't really need to wait for 10 days as such. So if you're ready, you have your filing ready, you have all the documents, it's fine to send the case in. So there's no need for anybody to wait for 10 days once the LCA is approved.
Okay. That's good advice. Ujjwala, another question, and this is a question we get all the time. Does H1B Cap registrant, do they have to be in the US to participate in the lottery, or can they be part of the lottery from anywhere else, from their home country especially?
They can be anywhere as long as the person is qualified to take the job. It should be fine. It doesn't matter if they are in the US. It's just that if they are in the US, they can start working right away after October 1st. If they are back in their home country, then they may have to go to the consulate, process the visa there, and come to the US, which may take a little bit of time, but it doesn't matter where they are or what country they are from.
Yeah, and we all know what's going on with consular processings right now. It's a nightmare there. So, it's better if you are in the US and getting all of that done. Now, Jagan, if one gets selected, all right, and should they go for premium processing for an H-1B, or if they choose to go a normal route, does it increase the chance of an RFE?
Not really. The chance of getting an RFE really depends on the quality and type of evidence that goes with the petition. If you have given them everything that they need to have to make a proper adjudication, premium processing does not necessarily need to return an RFE. Whether you want to do premium or not, it really is your personal choice. If you're filing very early in the period, let's say sometime in April or May, as Ujjwala said, the employments begin only on October 1. You don't really need to do pre-process at that point of time. You could just save that additional $2,500. But if you're filing late during the registration period, like Ujjwala said, once you get selected, there's a time frame given to you on when you need to get your petition to the USCIS. Now, if you're aiming to file your case during the very fag end of the filing period, then you may want to do premium because you're going to be nervous. You want to know whether your case reached them on time, and you want a receipt. If you do a regular process, which is fine, you may get a receipt at a later, maybe a 10-day, 15-day period, but you're going to sit nervous all the time saying, hey, did my case really, has it reached them? Did they open it? Have they reviewed it and all of that? But if you're if you do a premium, then you get a receipt in an email in a 2-day time frame. then you know, okay, you know, I'm safe, at least my case is there. The other thing to do is keep in mind a lot about the processing times. I mean, last year it has been so, a lot of people, you know, ended up frustrated because USCIS got backed up so much, they would not get their decisions on time. So you need to monitor the processing time frame, and maybe you need to do premium if you really.
Yeah, and I guess that is exactly why you need an attorney to help you guide the right way. So Jagan and Ujjwala, I want to say thank you. We're in the last 2 minutes of our discussion today. I want to thank you for your time and for all the expertise that you brought into the discussion today. If you have any questions for us, info@chuk.com. Thank you so much for joining us. We are still live, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Wherever you're watching us, do share and like and subscribe, because you'll be in the know. We all need to be in the know. And if you have any topic that you would want for us to discuss, just send it to us, info@chuk.com. We'd be happy to hear from you, and maybe even incorporate the topic into one of our discussions. Who knows, right? So all I want to say is thank you again. Thank you for joining us. And I will see you with another topic next week with one of our experts or two of our experts. I don't know. We'll find out. Join us here, 2 o'clock Eastern Time and 11 a.m. Pacific Time every Thursday. Take care.
Thank you.